Can we talk about my hair for a second? It turned out really well today. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the Smoke Reflect eyeshadow pigments from Samantha Ravndal's new brand, AURIC. So for those of you who know me in the real life, you'll know that I am obsessed with Samantha Ravndal. I really love her content. I like her personality. I like a lot of the mental health topics that she's been discussing in her more recent videos. And I'm just overall a pretty big fan, to the point where I like refer to her as like Sam, a person I know, and then they're like, Sam who? And I'm like, oh, she's on YouTube. She has no idea I exist. So that kind of goes without saying that I'm probably going to be a scooch bias. But if you know Sam at all and you know her content, you know that it would be a huge disservice to her to pretend to like and not find any fault in her products just because it's her. She specifically did not call the brand Samantha Ravndal or Sam, whatever. Like, she called it something else. And if you want to understand where the name AURIC comes from, I really encourage you to check out her video. So AURIC launched 2 products, and today we're going to be talking about the first product, which is the Smoke Reflect eyeshadow pigments. So when she first revealed this product, I was a little disappointed because I'm not a huge fan of like pigment eyeshadows. I think that it's kind of expensive for like one color, and I don't know, like I like the variety of a palette. But this is something that I haven't quite seen before. So each Smoke Reflect product, and there's 3 shades, comes with a bottom jar, which is like a pigment, like a cream kind of product. And then there's like an actual powder kind of like topper. So you're kind of getting 2 things in one, which helped me a little bit with the price point, which is $39 a piece. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into the Smoke Reflect products. So the packaging on these eyeshadow pigments is really gorgeous. It's a small little jar. It's got like a frosted glass on the bottom, and then the AURIC logo on the top and on the side. And then on the bottom, you have the shade. The only thing that I think would have been nice for me is if they somehow included the shade name in the top, because you can kind of detach them, and then like this has the name on it, and this doesn't. And I've mixed them up so many times. I don't want to talk about it. So as I mentioned, the bottom is a pigment. I'm not going to talk about how many grams it is because I don't know who really like measures that. But you get a little jar on the bottom, which is like the base color, like the one that has most of like the pigment in it. And then you get this topper, which is this really gorgeous kind of like multi-dimensional, and like if you know Sam at all, she's big on textured kind of like, it's not a glitter, it's not a shimmer, it's like somehow if you imagine like what a glitter is and you imagine what a shimmer is, and if you can imagine everything that would exist in between those 2 things if they were on like a range, that's what this is. So now that we've talked about what the product is, let's go ahead and get into these shades. The first shade is Temper, which I dub as the pink one. It's kind of like her take on a rose gold, which is more of like a taupe gold. So it has very kind of like neutral brown, but almost like on like the pinky or like pinky clay kind of side. And the same goes to say for the shimmer topper. So the next color is Ego, which is the gray one. So it's not too blue, it's not too, I don't know, it's just a perfect kind of like gray. It's kind of like a dark, smoky, kind of like a rock vibe. I don't know, granite. So the last shade is Defiance. And Defiance is kind of like the gold brown one. So for the topper, it's this gorgeous shimmery, like sunshine in a bottle, kind of like gold, beautiful color. And then the base is much more of like a deep, rich brown, kind of giving like a chocolatey brown. But it also kind of has like it's not like a true matte, like none of these are really matte. So what I'm going to go ahead and show you is swatches of the initial pigment. I'm going to blend the pigment out, and then we're going to look at the pigment with the topper on top, because again, you can kind of wear it either way, but if you want to like glam up and add some shimmer, which is what I've done here, you can do that as well, or you can just kind of leave it for a more like simple matte like eyeshadow look. Honey, I'm perfect. What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Oh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They weigh me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa,
And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey.
Alright, so now that we've gotten a pretty good look at this product, we talked it to death, we know what it is, it's got a top, it's got a bottom, it's got a pigment, it's got a... Let's see how they wear and how you can apply them on the eye, because I feel like a lot of people are going to be a little bit, not put off, but kind of like hesitant about these products because it's not a typical eyeshadow, it's a different texture. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in and I'm going to show you how I got this eyeshadow look. Alright. Now that I've got you all zoomed in, we're going to go ahead and put one of these Smoke Reflex on our eye. We are going to leave this eye unprimed. There's no concealer, there's no nothing. I didn't set my face or anything yet. And this one I want to prime with a MAC Paint Pot. So the MAC Paint Pot is, you know, kind of like a concealery kind of thing. Just to kind of look at the difference between A, whether or not you need a primer, and then B, what kind of look it gives you if you prefer not to use an eye primer, or if you do prefer to use an eye primer to cover up some of them veins. So spoiler alert, I already used these earlier today. I wanted to try them for the first time and kind of understand a little bit how they work, since they're a bit of a different, you know, formula. It's not like a regular old eyeshadow palette, right? Just gonna set that with like the tiniest little bit of setting powder. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Defiance, which is the gold shade of the three. Is first I'm gonna use my finger to apply it to the majority of my lid. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use my little index guy. The texture of it is quite moussey, ma'am. Is quite moussey, you know, as you already kind of saw. But it's not like wet. I don't know. It's like, it's not annoying. Like, you know how like a lot of pigment products or like non-powder products are almost kind of like, you feel like they're wet on your eye? You know? These kind of just feel like there's like, I don't know anything else like this formula. So we're just gonna go ahead and pitter pat that on the primed eye. I'm not going to bring it too far into the inner corner just because I'm really good at using my fingy and getting it on my lower lash line. So I'm just going to be careful with that there. And we're just going to put like a layer chilling. And then I'm going to grab a little bit more and do the same thing. So as you can see, it's got a very even texture. You're not worried too much about it going on patchy or going on heavier in some places than other. It just kind of goes on. And so for people who don't like to use your finger, we're going to grab a little detail brush. So this one is not fluffy at all. It's just kind of like a flat brush. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit more of that product. So just going to add a little bit more to the inner corner with our brush, which I hope is also a demonstration of how it applies with the brush. So now that we've got our lid shade on, most people want like a gradient in their crease. I think Sam in her video, or someone in someone's video, laid down like a super like bronzer shade in their crease, which is, you can do that if you want. But I wanted to show you what the product does without intervention, because I think, or I would assume, that part of the plan with this is that you should be able to like take this little pot and then just be done with your eyeshadow. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more on my finger, not much, and we're going to go ahead and try and blend the crease a little bit. So I hope you can see that I have added the new product, but I am also touching over the product that was already on my lid. So as you can see, it kind of does let you move it once you've set it down. Like, it's not dried down like a liquid lipstick. Like, you can kind of move it around a little bit. All right, now we're going to go on with the brush. This is just the NYX number 16, their blending brush. I chose this one because it's a little bit more concise, not so huge and fluffy. Just gonna dip that into there, grab a little bit, and then on the unprimed eye, we're just gonna kind of blend that into the crease. All right, how are we looking? I think we look pretty blended. Is it just me, or does this one look kind of orangey and this one looks kind of gray? Editing Susie here. So I went ahead and reapplied the shadow again, just to kind of make sure that color thing wasn't like me picking up the wrong jar. So let's come on in. this eye is again primed and this is unprimed. I think that is our slight difference in color. I don't know why it was so much more exaggerated on the video, but I still kind of see it. Now that we've got that cleared up, I'll let you get back to the video. Bye! Last thing I'm going to do is grab a really fluffy brush. This is just stained. There's no color on it. And I'm just going to even, oh no, we're going to keep the brush over here. And I'm just going to even further just blend out those edges. Keep in mind, I'm taking all of these extra steps to see how the product works, not because you need to do this every time. Like when I did it earlier, it took me like, it was very quick. Like I used a different shade, but I just like patted it all over the lid, plunged it into the crease, and I was like, oh, I'm done. But we're just doing this to see how the product works. If you look, it's not doing much. Like it's not wiping away where product used to be. It's not messing with anything. It's not pulling away. It's just blending. And then we'll just get a new finger, I guess, and just kind of try to drag that a little bit further up towards the brow bone. Okay. And now for the lower lash line, I'm going to grab a brush like this. Wow, my hand is clammy. I'm just going to grab a brush like this. So it's a little bit dense, and I'm going to use it to pack some color on my lower lash line. So I'm just going to take that and just drag it along the lower lash line. I am concentrating more of it on the outside, and then as it gets lighter, I'll blend it through to the inside. Okay, so here's what it looks like with the lower lash line done. Now the last thing that I kind of want to test for is, I know a lot of people like adding a little bit of darkness kind of here. So we're going to add, with this same brush, a little more product to see if we can make it a little bit darker. I realized this is the brush on the non-brush eye. My fingers are not that pointy, so I'm using a brush. So the right eye has the extra defining color. The left eye doesn't. What do we think? Is there a difference? Do you care? Because if you're going to go with an eyeliner or something, wouldn't super matter. But just in case it made a difference, I'm going to do my left eye. Also, this is what the jar looks like after I've been dipping in it a bunch. Do you see how it's just kind of like, you can like completely just like reshape. It's like a putty. Alright, so now that we're done with the base shade, we're going to move on to the topper. Alright, so technically you could just kind of leave this the way it is. It's just kind of like a nice wash of color. It's super simple. Again, if you're using the finger route, you could very easily do this. I don't want to say while you're driving to work because that would be unsafe, but you could do this on your way to work. Oh my god, my one coworker. Listen, okay, story time. She was telling me how she did her eyeshadow, and she had her Modern Renaissance palette, and she was like, I don't know, I just kind of like, you know, and I was like, what? You did? And like, I had to walk away. Like, I had to walk away. I'm sorry, I love you, but you just can't do that. You can, but just why? Okay, all right, topper. So I've got a little fluffy brush. We're gonna dip into this gorgeous gold. So here's this close up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put that on the right eye with the brush. I mean, how gorgeous is that? All right, spritzed it. Let's see if we see a difference. Oh, okay. I don't know if the camera picked that up, but it kind of like, it evened out the texture, I think is what it did. I think that's quite gorgeous. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and take our finger on the brush. Damn. Okay. So I'm just going to add some Urban Decay Demolition. It's like a dark brown. Okay, so I just add a little bit of that on my lower lash line. All right, now I'm going to add mascara, and then we'll zoom back out. Alright, so just kind of recapping what we just went through. We tried it with and without primer, with brushes, with fingers, the whole 9 yards. If you ask me, I did not really find a negative or any kind of downside with applying this. There was no struggle. So I think I can definitely speak a lot for the product's formulation and how it applies. I can't quite speak to the longevity of it yet, just because I haven't worn it that long yet, but it kind of does feel like the product doesn't have a huge oily component to it, where I kind of imagine it would have a nice natural fade to it. But as you kind of saw, they worked really well with a finger, and they worked fine with a brush, honestly. Like the texture was like super weird, which we looked at already. But the price, I mean, like, guys, I don't know, like, it's basically $40. I think that's a lot of money. I'm starting this new thing though, where if something makes me happy, I'm not giving myself too much shit about the price. But I did want to go ahead and compare it to a couple of the other known small jarred products that are in existence. So the Natasha Denona Duochrome, or the top coats that she have, are $28. Hourglass has these scattered light glitter eyeshadow. They're $28 and $29, and that is for a single shade. So my justification for this was that you're kind of getting like two shades. So I can see when they raise the price a little bit, but it is still pretty hefty. Do I regret buying them? Absolutely not. I was, for a long time, kind of really wanting to kind of grasp this kind of like eyeshadow look that I was seeing around Instagram and YouTube, which is what I have here today. It doesn't look too matte, it doesn't look too powdered, it doesn't look too dry. It kind of just looks like, kind of like after you've worn your makeup for a couple of hours and like your face's natural oils have come out a little bit, or you've been sweating. It kind of just looks more like melted. Which is exactly what I was looking for, and I realize now that's what Sam was wearing on her eyes all those times that I was like, oh, I kind of want to get that look. It was these things, so I do not regret buying them at all, and if she launches more colors, I will more likely than not be picking them up, because I really do enjoy these products. You're going to have to decide for yourself whether or not you like them enough for $39. Alright everyone, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit that like button, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'd love to see you back again to talk about more makeup. Until next time. Bye!